High school geometry should be made an elective, instead replaced by financial literacy or other topic that has more relevancy in today's modern age. Now I'll get into the reasons why I made that statement, but first let's look at the biggest reason I think you'll understand right from this initial reason. Financial literacy benefits 100% of students. Every student needs to know how to manage, grow, and invest their money and understand the basics of money management. When we look at geometry, less than 2% of people need that for any type of income opportunity in the future. Most students will never utilize that outside of the classroom. So in that geometry class, we are wasting 98% of the students' time. Absolute waste of time for them. Now, for those going into certain industries, there are some good jobs, but again, that represents less than 2% of jobs on the market. But you have some good jobs: architect, civil engineer, marine architect, pilot, physicist, some good high-paying jobs, right? But for 2% of the population, that class is beneficial. And actually, I rounded up on that 2% because the actual data came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that shows about 1.2% of people need geometry on a regular basis in their jobs. I rounded that up just to be conservative. But there's also another point. A lot of jobs don't require a wide breadth of knowledge in geometry. You just have to learn one or two things to perform your job well. Going back to my days after high school, I got a job as a door hanger. I hung exterior doors, got paid $2 a door to hang them. They're the big 8-foot double pane doors, very heavy. And I had to understand a piece of geometry to hang the doors so the door jamb was square in frame and it shut properly. Now, I didn't remember anything from high school, but my boss, Randy, he showed me within a few minutes how to do that quick and dirty. And within a week or two, I was getting doors up on a pretty quick basis. So on the job training on the one or two measurements I needed as a door hanger. So from that list of jobs, again, a lot of people just need one or two elements. They don't need to have one full year of geometry. You know, these kids are forced to sit through 1 year of geometry when the average student receives 0 years of financial education, no time at all dedicated to that. Even the states that mandate financial literacy education, the average is less than 25 hours that they'll actually go through a financial literacy education course. So 4 times people that go through geometry spend 4 times the amount on a subject that has no benefit for 98% of students. Not only does it have no benefit for them in the classroom and in a job or any way to earn money in their future adulthood, it also really offers no practical benefits that they need in the real world. When's the last time you needed any of these equations? When is the last time? Have you needed to calculate the volume of surface area of a triangular prism or a regular tehedron? I don't know how to say it. Or calculate the prism, the volume of a prism? Or what about something basic like knowing how to calculate the angle of an obtuse angle? It's not needed. Now, granted, I did use this once recently. I was actually remodeling a home. I put up a stair banister, and I had to figure out how to cut the railing so it matched up with the wall nicely, and it ended at the right area on the bottom of the stairs. So what did I do? I didn't think back to my high school because I had no idea what I was taught there. Instead, I went on YouTube and I found out how to do it very quickly. And it's been about 2-3 months since I've done that. And I've already forgotten because I know I could just go onto YouTube or other channel, Khan Academy, something else, and figure it out. But with the YouTube, it helped me figure out in relevancy to what I was specifically doing. So again, it's not needed. So let's dive back to the history. Why the heck are we even teaching geometry? Why? Where did this start from? And this always frustrates me with all core subjects I review. It's always frustrating. I have to go back to the 1800s. All the core subjects, your biology, science, chemistry, algebra, literature, all date back to the 1800s and haven't changed since then. So we're teaching the same subject matter to kids today with computers, AI, etc., as we were back in the 1800s. Now in 1844, Harvard made this an entrance requirement. So Harvard made this an entrance requirement. Back then there was a lot of growth. I'm sure a lot of architecture, a lot of need for that, and also it was a small amount of people. There wasn't a lot of people going to Harvard. It was your more wealthy and privileged individuals going to Harvard. So when a small group of people studies topics like that, it makes sense. But when you're bringing it out to the masses of blue collar workers and things, it doesn't make sense anymore. And by 1908, I apologize, most high schools across this country, most public high schools, had geometry as a graduation requirement. So for the last 120 years, we have been teaching geometry when the entire world has changed. The entire world is different than it was in the early 1900s, and they failed to change. They failed to adapt with the time, so it's completely outdated, and it doesn't really offer any benefits outside of geometry. The biggest complaint I get when I do these comparison videos with financial literacy and other topics is, well, they're learning a subject that can benefit other areas of their life. That's called far transfer of learning, and that does not occur. If you learn a geometry principle, right, you can apply what you learn to more complex geometry principles, but you cannot apply that same critical thinking to other areas of your life. You can't apply it to your relationships, friendships, money, or other important areas in your life. It's really in the context of the subject you're learning. So that's called near transfer of learning, where you can understand a basic principle and apply it to a more complex principle in geometry. It doesn't transfer outside the subject, so it has little benefit to even study for any other area of somebody's life. Second, there's little interest for these students to learn. They don't want to learn the subject. I talk to high school students all the time. They don't see any benefit. And when they don't have interest, when they don't see benefits, there's no reasons for them to learn. And reasons is the most important thing that we need to develop in students to convey information to where they're internalize and apply it and actually benefit from that information. If they don't have reasons to learn, here's what they're going to do. They're going to study for the test and forget it right after. That's how I got through all my high school and my first few years of college, because I knew it was not relevant. I would never need it. And I just was able to take tests good. That was it. I studied real estate and other things on my own because I had an interest, but I did not care about geometry and other subjects of that matter. And most students feel the same way as I did 30 plus years ago. So when there's no interest, there's no reasons. They're not going to internalize that and apply it and use that in any way. Additionally, the problem there is when there's no reasons, it speeds up learning loss. And learning loss is a major problem. After COVID, the federal government spent billions to try to combat learning loss, which is forgetting what you learned after you study the subject. And learning loss is very steep. Within a year, most people will forget all the equations to do with geometry. The ones I showed you, I would not know how to do any one of these calculations. I cannot do any one of these calculations here now, and I don't care. It makes no difference to me. But so the learning loss is sped up, and that's a bad thing. The beauty of personal finance and financial literacy is because we can get them to apply what they've learned in the classroom. There's strong reasons for them to learn. They want to be independent, make their own rules, be out on their own, live like the YouTube stars or the celebrities that they see. They're already overspending in spending their money like they have it, but now they know how to save, invest, and so forth. So with personal finance, we have a huge advantage. And this also impacts the teachers quite a bit. And when you're trying to teach a subject where the students really don't care, they don't see an interest, and also causes students a lot of stress, and geometry is the leading math is the leading cause of dropouts in high school. So they're seeing stress, they're frustrated, they're dropping out because of math. They don't see a reason for it. This causes a lot of problems for the teachers. You get kids that are unruly, not paying attention, disrespectful, rude. I can still remember my geometry teacher. I'm 90% sure he's my geometry teacher, Mr. Honig. Really good guy. He may have been my algebra teacher, I forget, but he's a really good guy. I know he's my mathematics instructor. I believe geometry. Just a good guy. He followed up with me 5-10 years after I graduated. Would call every couple of years or every year. Hey Vince, how you doing? And we'd have conversations. Just a super nice guy. Cared about students. A really good guy. cared about students, but I felt for this guy. He had a lot of trouble in the classroom. Kids were disrespectful. Kids were rude. Class was completely out of hand. Nobody paid attention. It was hard for him, but I really wish he would have had a subject like financial literacy, because there would have been a lot more interest. When I go into class and teach financial literacy, you may get a few people goofing off, but it's not like it is with other subjects, because I'm conveying strong reasons for them to learn. I'm teaching things that are relevant and will apply to them in the near term. I'm asking them questions, what they would use money for, why they want to learn about money, what are some of the dreams, start a business, help family members, so forth. Early on, I'm tying this into reasons and benefits for them and how it impacts their life, what type of lifestyle they want to live. I can sell them on learning about money very easy. It's very hard when you're teaching other topics, whether it be algebra, geometry, literature. It's very hard, and I feel bad for those teachers there, and I love to be able to retrain those teachers to teach financial literacy. The fulfillment you'll get by seeing a classroom full of life, asking questions, it's just different. Again, Mr. Honey was a great guy, but I do remember it was tough for him because he did care, he did want to convey information, but nobody was paying attention. He wasn't the best at controlling the class, but it was tough, right? So going back to the top, it's less than 2% of people will ever need it for work. You'll never need it in your everyday life. Most people never utilize that at all. We have high stress, high dropout rates due to math and geometry and other similar classes. We have limited transfer, so it's not transferring any knowledge to other areas. We have students that see no interest or reasons to learn, and it's tough for teachers, right? So because of that, we need to completely eliminate geometry from the required subjects to graduate and instead replace it with financial literacy that benefits 100% of students, that has a real impact on their life. They can apply what they've learned. It can make a real difference on their core human needs, ability to have food, water, security, love and belonging needs met. One of the biggest reasons people are having trouble with relationships is money. Their personal esteem needs met. All these core fundamental things stem from finances and money, and yet going back 120 years for subject matter that's not relevant today, where money is. Schools need to catch up with times. We need to reform the subjects taught in schools so our kids can graduate being enjoying life and being able to avoid a lot of the common problems that they get in. I got in myself, so they can live a self-sufficient and fulfilling life.